There we go. Um, Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Once again, this is, I'll see if I can summarize what Jim usually says. This is presented by the Cape Cod chapter of SCORE in uh, accordance with the other chapters within the Nantucket and the Islands and the Cape Cod chapters within SCORE. We're super excited to have you guys this morning to talk about a pretty common issue with today's business. But also recently, I've been hearing from clients and people around the Cape, and even experienced it myself, that this past winter has been a tough one. And whether you fall within that category or whether you had a great winter, either way, um, one of the best ways to really benefit yourself going forward is to really look into how to get that brand out there, and really how to make sure that you're showing up when people are searching. And based on the turnout today, once again, thanks for joining us. It's a pretty common issue. So let's just jump right into it, and let's talk about some SEO. Let me know if you guys can see this. Actually, let me reshare that just so it's on this screen here. All right, perfect. So first, before we start talking about the core concepts of SEO, let's talk about understanding, and then we can talk about instituting, right? So first and foremost, we have some concepts within understanding SEO, including target market, competitive advantage, and then identifying your keywords. After that, we're going to start talking about, all right, let's actually put this into gear through optimizing your website, creating quality content, industry outreach, or was once known as backlinking, and optimizing for local search. And then after that, we'll talk about monitoring and adjusting your strategy. One thing to note is actually within March of 2024, Google had a core update, which means that a lot of the fundamentals of SEO have slightly changed, and we'll touch on that. I think a lot of the core ideas that we're going to talk about within this presentation still goes with really what you need to know in order to optimize what you need to optimize in order to get out there. But it's still important to identify what changed. So first, let's talk about understanding SEO.
Matt, I'm now on, so I can
Nice,
follow the
Jim.
questions for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Do you want to run through your thing? Or you want to wait until the end?
No, we'll just do it at the end.
All right, sweet. So first and foremost, SEO stands for search engine optimization, which is the process of optimizing your website or basically anything that has a search engine algorithm. So like social medias, like if you have an Airbnb listing, an Amazon listing, whatever it may be, to rank higher on an SERP or a SERP, search engine rankings page. And based on how you're optimized, that search engine will rank you based on the keyword rankings that they dictate on a week to week, day to day basis. And the higher you are on the SERP, the easier you are to be found, and the easier you are to be clicked, and the easier you are to experience conversion events. So there's a lot of factors that go into this, right? You have keywords, you have title tags, meta descriptions. In the past, you've had keyword tags as well. Off-page optimization like backlinks, social media shares, industry opportunities, technical optimization, a lot of the stuff that we SEO technicians deal with. So speed, mobile friendliness, making sure you have internal linkings, redirects, and understanding these factors, you can actually start to make sure that your SEO is going to be putting you out there rather than holding you back. So let's start with who's your target market. Because the whole key about SEO is you need to identify who you want to reach, right? Who are the people that are typing into their Google search engine that you are trying to put your business in front of? Again, there's two ways to do this, right? You have your organic SEO, and you have your Google Ads. Both of them play into this whole thing, but we're going to be focusing specifically on the organic side. And guys, this is a long-term thing. It's not going to show up overnight. You can make all these changes we talked about today, but it's all on Google's dime. They index your pages. You're going to have to wait. But over time, that organic is going to build your authority and allow you to really show up. So who is your target market? How competitive is it, right? So find out through online surveys, polls, measuring demographics, preferences, pain points are a huge one. You could literally go in and type it in right into Google itself. Um, Also, monitor social media platforms, identify trending topics, interests, discussions. If people are having forums, that's another good place to look. Analyze your competitors' websites and see what types of headings and SEO tactics that they're using. We'll talk about that to understand their approach. And then use the data, right? Google Analytics, Google Trends, Facebook Insights, all that stuff is going to deliver some insight into, okay, where are these people, right? Where can you reach them? Participate in online forums, like we just said, and industry related communities, right? So if you're specifically some type of car enthusiast, take part in car forums, right? Or if you're an auto body, take part in car forums specifically for the type of car that you are looking to bring into your auto body. So if you're a foreign car expert or if you're a Jeep expert, go to a forum that talks about Jeeps, right? Go to a forum that talks about foreign cars. That way you're building what's known as authority. And authority is king. That's the most important thing. So what info are we looking for, right? Everything. We're looking for everything. Try to get literally as much info as you humanly can. Um, Good age, gender, location. That's great. I mean, you can figure out, okay, what's your core demographic? But better, what's their occupation? What's their income level? Do they have disposable income? Are they looking for luxury goods? Are they looking for cheap goods? What's their ethnicity? Do they have cultural specifics that are going to lead them away from certain products or towards certain products? Same thing with religion as well. Also, best psychographics and customer personas. That's basically a synonym. What a customer persona is over time you want to be building instead of just looking at an email or looking at one person. You're trying to build a profile for them. What have they purchased in the past? How much money have they spent? What have they been interested in looking? Have they come into the store or not? Do they bring people or have they been the reason that you've been getting referrals? All that information is built into what's known as a customer persona that if you have that time, you should be incorporating within a CRM or within your email marketing tool. And that's going to generate higher ROI for both of those as well. So just like we talked about, purchase timing, activities within the community. Have they been involved? Have they purchased in the past? Personal values are huge. What content do they engage with, and so on and so forth. The big one is pain points, though. You want to solve their pain points. Um, Next, constructing a competitive advantage, right? Competitive advantage is basically the reason that your business outperforms other businesses in a specific sense in the general area, right? So it's how you create value for customers and position the business as the preferred choice within its target market or niche. So I'm going to give two Cape Cod examples, right? Um, and one of them is not really Cape Cod. It's a new Cape Cod. Look at Treehouse, right? Treehouse Brewing Company is a massive brewing company at this point. It's one of my favorites. Maybe I jumped on the bandwagon. I don't know. But one of the reasons that they're so popular is that they set themselves differently out against other breweries where they don't sell Treehouse anywhere but at Treehouse Brewing Company. So that's giving you this sense of exclusivity, and that's actually drawing more people to the actual location, right? And that location is really where they sell. Oh yeah, you can get this many beers. Look at how cool this place is. Blah 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 blah. Another Cape Cod example, right? And this is actually something that goes for everything within Cape Cod is the National Seashore, right? The National Seashore, the Cape Cod National Seashore, their competitive advantage is there's literally No other place like that in America, right? It is a one and done. Every beach is the same on the national seashore, but the thing is that's going to be the premier beach for Cape Cod. So that's why for me as a Chatham boy, a lot of times when I was young, I wanted to go to the national seashore because of the big waves, you know. But now, I'd rather go to Hardings or Ridgevale or whatever it may be. So, you really want to focus on that target market because that target market is going to dictate where people go, but also figure out that competitive advantage. Why come here instead of there? So analyze that data, identify your USP, your unique selling point, what differentiates you from every other business in Main Street, and then develop or improve products and services according to that USP, and then optimize your marketing strategies the same way, right? If you're a cost competitor, then really focus on nailing down those promotions. If you're a differentiation competitor, which is setting people apart based on different characteristics, focus on that characteristic and lean into it. Next, with that information, let's talk about identifying the keywords that make sense. So, the most important, I said one of the most important SEO aspects of SEO, it's the most important, right? Because without keywords, there's no way for you to do SEO. There's no way. Keywords are basically words or phrases that people are using when they search something online. So when you go to a new area, right? Let's say you go out to Portland, Maine, and you're like, man, I'm really dying for some donuts, right? Or maybe I'm dying for some Italian food. What do? Everyone does the same thing. You go to a search engine, any search engine, unless you know the area. Maybe you ask your friend. That's great too, referral business. But most people go to a search engine, they type it right in the search engine, Italian food near me, donuts near me. And what pops up? Well, it's literally all of the places in the area that have Italian food or donuts. And then underneath that, it's all the site links for all the different places that have Italian food or donuts. And it's a little bit different. Sometimes you may just say, "Oh man, I'm having a tough time fixing this brand new Mustang. Like, what am I supposed to do? How to fix the carburetor of a brand new Mustang." Boom. So what that is doing is it's taking that search phrase and it's identifying two things. The first thing is what is the intent? What are people looking to do once they get that information? For the Italian food near me, what they're probably trying to do is eat Italian food, right? So that's a commercial intent. You're going to a business to actually pay for their services or pay for their product. It could be transactional too. If you're looking up how to fix a carburetor, it's informational intent. They're trying to learn information. So when you're generating these keywords, you want to figure out, okay, what is that intent? And then the second thing is there, all right, who else is ranking for this? Like, where do we put this? Where do we move people down? Do we shift people around? Do we put them right at the top? And what dictates why they put you at the top or why they put you at number 5 or why you're not even in the top 10, right? So when you're identifying your best keywords for your small business, my rule of thumb is basically the core fringe niche rule, right? So when you're building your site, and this is something that is from the top down, every designer I work with and my design team all follow the same rule. You start with your SEO foundations. So what's your core keyword, right? The major words you are going to be found for. And a lot of times these are going to have some pretty high volume and high competition, right? Because you kind of have what are known as short tail and long tail keywords. And we'll talk about that on the next slide. I know this is a lot, guys. But the major words you want to be found for are the most basic ones, right? Maybe like if we're talking about like the Squire, right? Or actually let's say Cape Cod Clothing Company, right? They are known for like t-shirts, right? Branded t-shirts or branded clothing, right? Boom. Clothing would be a good one for them. So after that, you want to think about fringe, right? You have your 1 to 2 core that is basically summarizes your entire business. So if you're caught in an elevator and someone's like, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm in business ops," right? Um, you're in clothing, right? Um, the next thing is fringe. And those are describing your competitive advantage. These are the ones that you're going to be mixing it up for. And it's going to take a while for you to place for them, but when you do, the volume is pretty high. Your core keyword is going to be almost impossible to place for, but it's serving its purpose as telling Google exactly what you do. They are a clothing company. They are an Italian restaurant. They are a beach shack, right? Or a beach restaurant. Your fringe are basically telling Google, okay, but here's a little bit more to that business that is going to identify what they do, right? So if you're talking about flower or florist, rose, bouquet, Harwich, your town where you operate, maybe throw your address in there, but mainly your town. What types of products do you sell? What types of services do you sell? Um, and on a grander scale, right? If you're talking about clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, socks, accessories, whatever else it might be. And then finally, your niche keywords. And these are the ones that are related to your industry and the ones that you want to create content on. And content, I know I said way back in the day, authority is king. You can't get authority without content. Um, these are niche keywords, and this would be stuff that's very basic and specific to what you are doing, right? Valentine's Day rose. Where can I find the best Valentine's Day rose? Wedding bouquet. What to put in a perfect wedding bouquet? Harwich flower delivery. That's a local keyword that people are going to be searching, specifically looking for your business. Excuse me, guys. So now that we learned keywords, what makes a good keyword, right? Like, what are the characteristics that makes it a good keyword? Well, they're generally in two groups. You have your short tail keywords, and then you have your long tail keywords. Short tail keywords, you'll never ever place for unless you have insane authority. Short tail are very broad general search terms. So running shoes, flowers, um, restaurant, Harwich. Yeah, you have a chance. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to take you a while before you start. I have one client who does tattoo brushes, right? Procreate tattoo brushes. And it took him 3 years to place number 67 for the word tattoo, just to put it into perspective. It's very tough, but over time it happens. Long tail are your bread and butter. These are the ones that you're going to be competing for. These are the ones that are actually going to get you traffic. And they are the more specific, longer phrases that indicate a focused search intent. And that's key. You want to find the keywords that are going to lead people in based on their intent. So what are those commercial intents? Or if you're an e-commerce or retail company, your transactional intents, or even if you're just a basic service company, the informational intents that are going to get people in your door or just on the phone with you, right? So running shoes, a long tail version of that would be best running shoes for flat feet. So it's the same keyword, but it's expanded to fit the long keyword as well. And that's an informational intent because what people are looking to find, actually, it could be informational commercial because what Google can do is take that information and then put products that are really good for flat feet right at the top of the SERP. And then underneath that, some blog posts on, okay, what are the best ones? So short tail typically have higher search volume, but are a lot more competitive. And like we talked about, long tail, that's your bread and butter.
Hey, Matt,
So,
we had
yep.
one question. Someone asked, what's the easiest way to get competitive advantage research? Would you
So
use ChatGPT?
that's a great way to do it. I wouldn't base everything off of ChatGPT. Cape Cod is a very different animal just because it is very localized, right? A lot of people are going to focus on Cape Cod businesses. Um, on a local scale. However, if you're talking about maybe like a larger business out in Massachusetts or in greater New England, and maybe a little bit different, but Cape Cod is very centralized and community based. So one of the best ways that I would recommend going and finding the competitive advantage is ask people. Just ask. It's like, why do you come here rather than this place? Like Main Street Chatham. No offense to any clothing companies down there, but we got a lot of clothing companies down there. There's nothing wrong with that. but every single one of them have their own target market and every single one of them have their own competitive advantage. So just maybe pull a customer aside or one of your friends and just say, "Hey, I just want to ask you on a top-down variation, what separates us from maybe Jackie's or Cape Cod Clothing Company or um basically anything else on this street? What separates us? Southern Tide. They're all great stores, but you all have a different competitive advantage and a different target market, even if it's a very, very minute difference. Anything else, Jim?
No, not right now.
Awesome. So let's talk about instituting SEO. So when you're building your website, one of the most important things to start with is setting foundations. Nowadays, there's a lot of SEO technicians that will tell you that your SEO description does not matter. And that's totally fine. I believe it does in a lot of ways, and I'll explain that. Because right now, what Google takes into account most when they are ranking you is your SEO title, your page content and what it's about and how optimized it is, and finally, your authority. Um, your SEO description is the best way to get people on your site because it's basically a 155 word ad of why you should click this link. And if you have those empty, you're putting yourself at a major disadvantage. And if they're empty in general, it's actually a major disadvantage in the SEO terms. So where do we start, right? We want to start with your main navigation pages, your home, about, services, products, contact, um, blog, FAQ, whatever's on that top heading, right? You want to start with the main navigation pages and you want to incorporate your chosen keyword into your SEO meta title, meta description, and somewhere on your page, right? So on your home page, you want to use your core keyword. But obviously, you may want some amplifying keywords that fall under that fringe tag, right? That might be a little bit more distinct to your competitive advantage. You want to include your core keyword there just to tell Google, hey, this is my domain page and this is what we're about, just so you know. And just passing them just a quick little note. Hey, by the way. Then your important navigation pages, your services, products, blog, about page. Those should absolutely have a fringe keyword. They should be painted in a branded sense, right? So, what type of clothing do you have? What type of lawn care do you have? What type of um, Italian food do you have? What makes it different, right? Because that's going to identify your target market on a wider sense, and Google's going to see that, and they're going to shove you right in where you're supposed to be rather than where everyone else is. Because a lot of people, when they optimize their website, they don't think about this type of stuff. They just jump right into it. That's totally fine. Again, you can do whatever you want, but this is going to give you that advantage. And then finally, your blogs and products. Basically, anything that you have content. YouTube is a good opportunity. Podcasts, whatever it may be. Use your niche keywords. What are those keywords that paint around those fringe keywords and that core keyword that are long tail? What are the questions that your clients are asking? What's the products and the services that they're looking for? And once again, go ahead and ask people. That's one of the best ways to see it, but also go on forums, check forums. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Look at your reviews on Google. What are you missing? What did people not like? What did people really like? Expand on that. All this data that's coming in, we are in a data overflow in our modern era. It stinks. There's so much to consider. And sometimes you can get washed out by that a lot. But really focus in on what is working and what are the things that people really enjoy and expand on that if you can over time. Build more products that are similar, build complementary products, build complementary services. And that way you're going to position yourself a little bit better within the SEO terms as well. And you're going to have those upsells. So let's talk about building a different page, right? On each page, after you set up your meta description and your meta title, you need to make sure that you include your keyword on that page, like we talked about, but also telling Google or Bing or Yahoo. Again, I don't want to throw them out, but again, really your main focus is Google here, and also YouTube. How it fits the intent of the people searching, right? So your URL structure, you want to use clean, descriptive, keyword-rich URLs. So when people are writing a lot of blogs, they don't check this URL, right? So every once in a while, I've seen people that will duplicate their blogs and they don't change anything on it. So like let's say we wrote a blog about 10 best yoga poses for women w pregnant women. I don't know the proper term for that. But let's say that you wrote a blog about that and then you duplicate it and you duplicate it again and you duplicate it again. The system that you're using is only going to add letters at the end. So next thing you know, you're going to have top 10 best yoga poses for pregnant women dash XV921 dash 713. And it's just going to be really, really hard for Google to pinpoint what that blog is about. So what's the keyword you're writing the blog about? And then try to incorporate that keyword into your blog URL, right? So chatamokes.co/MailChimp tagging strategy. Boom. Next, your header tags, right? Organize your content using your headers. Break it down for Google and break it down for the reader. It enhances readability. Your H1, the title of your blog post or the title of your page, should be your major keyword if you can put it in there. Not your core keyword, whatever the focal keyword of the page is. And then within your H2 and H3, you want to focus on subtopics or amplifying keywords of the focal keyword. So for instance, on my SEO services page, right? I focus on Squarespace and Wix. So it'd be Squarespace SEO and Wix SEO is my H1. And then underneath that, Squarespace SEO services would be an H2 and Wix SEO services would be an H2. So now I have my main header, which is Squarespace SEO and Wix SEO are my focal keywords, but then I incorporate that services as well. So that way you're generating those amplifying keywords. That's another thing for basically any way of how you want to do it is think about if you're building a product page, what are your categories and how can you differentiate those categories using that main keyword? And then your H3 is really just to focus on readability. If you can get the keyword in there again, specifically on your blogs, that's great. But don't really worry about it too much on the H2, H3 within your main nav. You want to make sure overall that the user experience is the best possible thing it can be. And then finally, don't overuse your keywords, right? Don't keyword stuff, which is basically if you have a keyword that you're focusing on, Google doesn't like if you use it too much, right? If you're using it over 5 times, it can harm your SEO. Try to use it between maybe 3 and at most 5 per page. On your blogs, you might be able to get away with a little bit more, but just be careful.
Matt, this is slightly off topic, but
Yeah.
someone asks, what's the best platform to build yourself?
Build a website yourself.
I'm assuming that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would say is if you have any form of design experience at all, and I don't want to spend too much time on this question because it comes up a lot, but the three that I would check out would be Wix, Squarespace, and maybe I would say if you're an e-commerce company, Shopify, right? I would not use WordPress, even though it's one of the better ones, just because it's very complicated and I wouldn't use Webflow for the same reason. And if you do not build a website on an email provider like MailChimp, don't build a website on any type of CRM, and don't build a website on Google, right? Google sites. You're not going to get the tools that you need to actually optimize it the way that we're talking about today because they don't focus on websites. They focus on what they're good at. So I would check those three out. So going forward into searcher's intent, we've talked about this a lot, right? There's 4 types. There's informational, there's navigational, there's transactional, and commercial. So informational intent, people want an answer to a question. They're searching a question to get an answer to a question. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a question, right? Say you just saw someone in your favorite Amazon Prime show, right? And you're looking up to see who he or she was, right? Typing their name into Google, that's an informational intent. That's okay, who is this person? I'm trying to figure out this information, right? So if you're really focusing on the informational, you want to answer that question as thoroughly as humanly possible. Navigational intent is the crown jewel. This is what is known as your direct traffic, right? When people type in your business name, the ultimate goal is that that business name turns into a navigational keyword because it means that when people search that business, they are looking for you. Typically, that happens over around 50% of traffic if it's going to your site versus other businesses that are similar. It's a navigational keyword. You're basically shored up, right? Um, and it's very hard to get there, especially if you have a lot of people that are named similarly, or if you have a big company that has the same name as you. So definitely be aware of that. But when you have a navigational keyword, just make sure that you focus on optimizing that main domain page, which is your home page, to include your brand name, relevant keywords, and title tags on page, as well as an address, right? And make sure people know exactly how to get to you, whether it's online or off. Transactional intent, people are trying to purchase a product. So in order to focus on this intent, you want to build a product, right? And optimize it for this keyword. Because what Google's going to do is they're going to see that it's a product. And if you have Google Merchant Center, or even if you just have a site like Squarespace or Wix, or even WordPress, or especially Shopify, they're going to throw that right up with those products because it's going to be marked up as a product schema. I'm not going to get into that. And it's going to showcase itself on the SERP as a product. And finally, commercial. If you're a service business, this is your bread and butter, right? If you look up lawn services near me, that's a commercial keyword. People want lawn services. So figure out your competitive advantage, localize it, because a lot of times when you search lawn services near me, what pops up? A map. A map pops up every time. Because you really think someone's going to drive all the way from California to do your lawn services? No way. It's only going to be Cape Cod companies. If you're off Cape, it's only going to be off Cape companies within your general area. And you want to make sure that you show up to the people that need your services in that area. If you're doing some type of service like maybe leadership coaching or career coaching or maybe online yoga classes, right? That's a little different. And a lot of times when you're focusing on a commercial keyword like that, you want to start content first, answer those informational questions, build a community and authority, and then it's going to be a little bit easier to place for those keywords because they're a little bit harder to place for when you're focused on online rather than local. So speaking of content, let's plan the content, right? First and foremost, what do you like to produce best? Do you like to write blogs? Do you like to record videos? Do you like to podcast? Do you hate all of it? You hate all of it. That's totally fair. A lot of us do. But unfortunately, content is king. In this extremely concentrated search world, you need to create content. So you want to figure out what you like the most. For instance, right, if you don't like writing a blog, but you don't mind recording videos, maybe that's what you want to do. Another thing to think about is instead of building any type of content within your blog or your YouTube, maybe you just produce a lot of different variations of your products and you SEO optimize each one. What you're trying to do with your content is you're trying to build up your presence on your website. Uh, a lot of people take their YouTube and podcasts and operate them off their website, and that's okay. But the real reason that you're trying to build this content is you're trying to improve authority, right? Because the more questions you answer, the more traffic you get, the better your content. And if people are linking to your content and saying, hey, this is a great resource, what that's going to do is Google's going to see you as a verified contributor and a thought leader in the industry, whatever you do, and boost your authority. I've had people in 1 year go from 6 to 36 in authority, and it's a scale from 0 to 100 to put it into perspective. And I've had people go down from 6 to 2. And it's all based on what Google wants to do at that present moment. You have no control other than to build up your site. And I will tell you right now, if your authority is low, you have next to no chance of scoring those fringe keywords. You have no chance at the core keyword, and you're going to have a really tough time with your niche keywords. So you need to make sure that content is your main focus when it comes to your strategy, right? And actually, real quick, why a blog, right? Keeps it on, yeah, that we just talked about that, right? So creating good
Matt,
content. Yep.
Matt, just jump in for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Could you provide an example for an event management and planning company with a travel agency? Um, what should be the content for maximum SEO for that kind of business?
That is an amazing opportunity that you have in front of you. And it's literally take all of your testimonials, every single one of them, right? Or any of your opportunities that you've had the opportunity to complete in the past and write blogs about them. What went well, what didn't, what were the best factors that went into it. If you're doing event management and management, or geez, Louise, event planning and management, bear with me here. That's a lot of different opportunities and a lot of different keywords that you can place for. And usually the keywords that you're looking for are the place, blank, events, right? Um, and a lot of times, each one of those themselves is a commercial keyword because a lot of people are looking to book events. Like, for instance, if you're doing events in Provincetown, in Chatham, in Boston, right? Boston events, Chatham events, and Provincetown events are all their own fringe keyword. So really what you want to do is, all right, here's the top 10 venues. Here's the top 10 restaurants. Here's our favorite event process. Here's how to plan an event in this area. And you just want to start answering the questions that people have, specifically your customers. What have they asked you in the past? Answer it. Anything else, Jim?
Yeah, how can you find where your placement is in Google?
Yeah, so what you want to do, um, this process is a little wonky, but if you're a local business, what you want to do is you want to open up just a Google window and you want to type in specifically within your area. You want to make sure that you're located within your area. You want to type in whatever keyword you're looking for, and you want to just scroll down and see what happens. If you are a non-local business, you want to open an incognito window, which is going to take localized search results right out of the window and then type in the same keyword, right? And then just scroll down. The easiest way to find out where your placement is to get a site audit from an SEO technician or just run a quick site audit yourself. There's some sites, including like SEMrush, Ubersuggest, Moz, M-O-Z, Ahrefs, Ahrefs. All of those will give you a quick site audit. It's not going to go into much detail, but it's going to give you some good information to start. Anything else, Jim?
No, I think you're better off just keep going.
Awesome. Good content. I'm gonna go quick through this part. Relevance. Is it relevant to the intent of the search, right? Is it going to answer the question? Is it going to provide insights into the services they want to purchase? Relevance is huge because if it's not relevant, people aren't going to click on it. People aren't going to read it. It's not going to be important. Quality and depth. You want to make sure it's better than the person who's in first place, right? That's called the skyscraper method. It's pretty common for copywriters. Quality and depth. Depth is not as important as quality. You want to make sure that it has the important information that answers the question thoroughly or provides thorough information on everything that someone needs in order to purchase the product or book the service. Originality. Do not use AI to write your content. Please don't do it. You're going to kill your website. Use it to give you ideas. Use it to basically build out a quick outline of what um your blog is supposed to look like. You can even have it fill in specific gaps. If you do write it with AI, you have to go in and rewrite it. One of the best platforms to do that is a text editor called Hemingway. It's one that I use here and there. I use the SEO writing assistant within SEMrush. That's another really good one. Um, please, please, please do not publish AI written content. You are going to get blacklisted. Not blacklisted, but it's going to penalize you. That just came out in March. That was a huge update. Keyword optimization. Make sure that your keywords that you're writing the blog for are within your blog, either 3 to 5. They maintain a natural flow. Do not make more than 7 different keywords or 7 of your focal keywords within that blog. Multimedia elements like videos and photos and infographics and podcasts do awesome in blogs, and they get indexed separately. However, with videos, they also made another change where if you have a video in a page with a blog, the video will not be indexed. So in order to index your video, either publish it on YouTube or Vimeo, or publish it on a separate blog page within your page. I know it stinks. It's very wonky and confusing. It's just the way that the search engine works. And then this is the most important thing. Every 3 months, me and my team do what are known as re-optimization. We go into every single blog that we manage, every single site that we manage, every client, and we go through every single one of their blogs and we make regular updates. We change it to 2023 to 2024. We make sure that we input the correct information. We double check everything. That's a great opportunity to use ChatGPT and Gemini. Type in some of the blog and say, is this still all accurate? Is there any more information that we should be adding? Is there anything that we should take out based on outdated information? That's a great way to use it. And that's how we typically use it as well. But then when we need to rewrite the blog, we rewrite it ourselves. That way you have frequently fresh, up-to-date content, and the search engine loves that. We're getting towards the end. So industry outreach. Industry outreach is basically if you're a local company or a national company, going to sites with higher authority than yours and contributing to that site. So, for instance, an opportunity for industry outreach could be creating high quality content on your site that maybe another site was asking for. Let's say, for instance, Score came up to me and Jim was like, hey, we need some help with SEO. Can you write a quick blog for us that we can publish or that we can refer to when we're doing our next workshop? Perfect. Boom, boom, boom. I write my content. They backlink into that content. They say, check out Chatham-Oaks resource for SEO. And then there it is. That backlink from Score to chathamoaks.co is going to boost my authority, right? If I had a lower authority than Score does. And I'm going to take a wild guess and say that I probably do.
Very nice of you,
Additionally,
Matt.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And Score is a behemoth too. So another way that they build up their content, right? Because content is king, is by using what are known as guest blogs or guest posts, right? And it doesn't have to be with Score. It doesn't have to be with like any company. You want to focus on what are those companies or those forums or those platforms that people in your target market use, or are they complementary companies to you, right? So for instance, if you know that one of the places down the street has a blog, and you guys are complementary companies, you may say, hey, if I write on your blog, would you write on mine? And what that's going to do is you're going to be linking to each other's websites. And it doesn't matter if one has a larger authority than the other. It's showing that you have what is known as a link network. It means that you are verified by them and they are verified by you. And that shows Google that they trust you, you trust them, and that improves your link network in general. That is a direct contributor to authority, right? So if I were to write a lot of resources and say, hey, you got to use Score, and they write a few resources or whatever and say, hey, Chatham Oaks is verified, that's going to benefit both websites as time goes on. And it does this with literally any website that you contribute to and any website that contributes back. But building relationships are huge. Go to the networking events. Talk about just maybe inputting new content on people's pages and contributing to your page, because it's building the amount of content that you have on your page and the amount of keywords that you can hit, and overall the authority as well. And then finally, leverage local partnerships and sponsorships. You really want to make sure that you partner with the local businesses and organizations and events that are relative to your niche. Where are people? What do they need? How can you help? Got to give. You have to give. And a lot of times, if you just focus on giving throughout your business and focus on really just putting yourself out there in a way that's going to reflect back on your partners as well as the people that you're giving to, it's going to reflect back on you. And the focus is it's essential to focus on acquiring backlinks from high quality relevant websites. Poor quality and spammy links can negative there used to be this thing called backlinking, right? And I say it doesn't even exist anymore. I say that industry outreach is really what you want to do nowadays. Backlinking are basically people, and they'll email you a lot. I'm sure most of your businesses, you've probably received a few emails or two of, hey, we have some high quality links, right? We are SEO technicians with high quality links, and we'll build some backlinks for you. Yeah, that's great. But a lot of times those firms are going to go and they're going to build backlinks on these sites that they've also built backlinks on for hundreds of other businesses. And what that's going to do is Google's going to see that one page and say, wow, that's a lot of random backlinks to businesses that are not connected at all. Let's go ahead and penalize that page, and then your entire link network is going to get affected. Don't hire backlinkers because they will do that and they'll kill your business. I'm telling you, I've seen some devious stuff done. Um, Focus on doing it yourself. Build those local connections. Contribute to articles and different content on higher authority, and that's going to help you. First and foremost, local SEO. I think we got two more pages, Jim. So we're coming in for a landing here. Look at this picture of Manhattan, guys. Look at this. This is New York. What are they known for? A ton of stuff. Pizza is definitely up there. I mean, this isn't Chicago. Chicago's great too. New York pizza. Do you think that that's all of the pizza places in New York? No freaking way. No way. There's probably dozens more. But those businesses show up because they optimized their local business. They're found on the local pack, right? Now, when people search the greatest keyword, right? The near me keyword, because if you add near me to any commercial or any informational or any transactional keyword, it's another keyword and it's probably a lot higher of a volume. Those businesses are getting most of the traffic from it, right? And if you're not optimized on local, you are not getting any of the traffic. You might get maybe like a few clicks here and there, but that local pack is going to get most. So how do you optimize for local? First, the most important thing is to get on Google My Business, or what is known as nowadays the Google Business Profile, and optimize and verify your listing. Make sure that you complete NAP format, which is name, address, phone number, that they are basically the exact same thing throughout the entire thing. If you operate out of your household or if you operate online, that is okay. It's technically not, you're not supposed to have a Google business page. There is a loophole if you want to follow it. If you operate online, as long as you have a service area, specifically a place that you go to your clients' households, right? You can put in that service area. If you don't go to clients' households, you can't do this. Or I can't advise you to do this. But if you go to clients' households, you go meet them at coffee shops or whatever it may be within a specific service area, you are a service area business. And what that's going to allow you to do is show up in a specific area, but not publish your address to the public. That's a step within the setup, but make sure you add that relevant business details, NAP, website and hours of operation, as well as the description. You want to choose your appropriate business categories that accurately represent your offerings. Do not say that you are something if you aren't something, because Google will absolutely take your listing down. I'm actually dealing with I need to verify mine right now because I switched my address. I'm leaving an office within Clinton and I'm coming to the Cape for the summer, to my Cape office. and I switched my address. And what happened? Google said, "Why are you doing that? That's weird." So again, it happens to everyone. Add high quality images of your business, your products, and your services. That's huge. And then encourage your customers to leave reviews. There's a lot of automations and different steps that you can take to do that. Optimizing your website. Include location specific keywords in your blogs, in meta descriptions, title tags, headers. Add your NAP to website's header and footer right at the bottom. Just make sure every page has it, right? Ensuring consistency across basically every platform. Embedded Google Maps widget on your contact page. Don't do this if you have a traditionally slow website. This is going to slow your website down a lot, but it's always good to have, and ensure your website is mobile friendly. Finally, and that's huge. 88% of all, I think it was 88, maybe 82% of all searches are on the mobile device now. So if your website is not mobile optimized, you are missing out on a huge chunk. And then we talked about building local backlinks and citations. So I'm going to skip that. So ongoing, it never ends. So it takes time, trial and error, and continued learning, right? So here's some things to pay attention to real quick. You're never going to wake up to 1 million site visitors. It's never going to happen unless you run the most expensive ad campaign of your entire life. You drop $6 million into that ad campaign. Maybe, you could. There's a chance. But it's more than capable of delivering 1 million people of your site if you sit down, work on it, and optimize it. I'm not going to say for a lot of Cape businesses, it's going to deliver 1 million people to your site. That's almost impossible. But it's going to deliver you the people that you need to keep your business going. And it's going to support you in the off season. It's going to support you in the on season, whatever makes sense. People are going to see you around a lot more. And you do that by generating organic traffic, right? Identify it with Google Analytics to identify some of those trends, popular pages, potential areas of improvement, and keep an eye on traffic fluctuations and check in on those spikes, right? Sometimes maybe like minor moments, like the eclipse, right? Little things like that. Certain sites are going to spike because of that. Okay, that's interesting. Use that, right? We talked about that. Content updates. Go through that reoptimization process. Go to your old blogs that are doing well or some of the ones that are doing really bad and see if there's something you missed, maybe a new keyword you should optimize for. User engagement. What are they doing, right? What's the bounce rate? What's the time on page? How many pages do they visit per session? And this is all available on Google Analytics. Um, and then optimize your website's design, layout, and content to fix those issues and to engage more. Finally, keep an eye on your competitors, right? Because what they're doing, if they're really good about it, not many will on the Cape, I will say, but if you're in a really high competition industry, they're keeping an eye on you. That's for sure. And a lot of time SEO can feel like you're fighting a war. It's a give and take. You may lose a huge keyword, you may gain another one the next day. So just keep an eye on their strategy and make sure that you identify potential opportunities and threats to your own SEO growth from them. But that's it, guys. Those 4 things, focus on that. If you need any help with it, there's SEO technicians out there that can absolutely help you. I know that Score has a wealth of SEO knowledge. And I am one of the many amazing people within their ranks. Jim himself is an SEO whiz, even though he doesn't like to talk about it too much. But
It gets me in
overall,
trouble when I do.
yes. Yeah, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But yeah, it's a wealth of knowledge at Score. We're happy to help you wherever you need us. And if there's any questions, I'd love to answer, run through them quickly and thoroughly, and then we can go back to our Tuesdays.
I'm ready to start with the questions, Matt. But
Let's do
before
it.
I do that, a couple of things, folks. Number one, I will be sending a link to the recording once it becomes available on Zoom. Number two, the second part of this discussion will be taking place next Tuesday. If you'd like to attend that, you do need to register separately. So make sure that you do that if you'd like to take advantage of that opportunity. Matt, uh, so you said it's don't use AI generated text.
Yes.
First off, how does Google know if you did that?
Yeah, so just like Google has one of the greatest AI platforms out there in Gemini, they have one of the greatest AI detection software platforms out there as well. They're not going to know every single time, right? You can fly under the radar for the most part. However, that one time that you don't, it's just like driving drunk, right? You can do it, right? It's deathly illegal. You get caught that one time, you're going to jail. So don't do it, right? It's the same reason. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as fouling is in basketball. You can do it a ton. Second you get caught, it's game over. So it's serious and it's going to hurt your business in ways that I can't even describe within the next few minutes. So I would absolutely recommend using it to build your blog and build the aspects of it, but do not publish. Make sure you check through it because it could have inaccurate information. It could be easily detectable as AI generated. And then next thing you know, you get penalized, you lose a lot of keywords, and it's bad stuff.
Can you address using hashtags and or keywords on social media posts?
Yeah, for sure. Same rule of thumb, right? I mean, I think right now Instagram and has like a rule of 11, Facebook has 4, LinkedIn has 3, something like that. But basically every single one of them have the same thing, right? So focus on that same framework. What's the core aspect of your business? What are the fringe aspects of your business? What are the niche aspects of your business? And then use that in order to formulate your posts. So each post, see if you can put in 2 or 3 niche keywords that you're writing that post about, right? Um, and maybe throw in a fringe or two, just to make sure that you're balancing it out. But what that's going to do is it's going to paint your entire social media the way that you need it to. I'm not a social media expert by any means. Score's got plenty of those. The most important thing for SEO on your social media platform is your bio, your bio. So make sure that that has everything you need within it.
What are your favorite free and paid keyword research tools?
The best keyword research tool out there is Google search engine. It's the best. It's going to give you a lot of information. My favorite paid one is SEMrush. That is a full-on like commercial agency and SEO technician based one. I'd say it's great. But it is a little complex. The one in the middle that I'd recommend is going on to what's known as Ubersuggest, which is owned by neilpatel.com. That's a pretty great one. It gives you like 5 keyword research opportunities a day. So there's 3 that you can look at. My favorite is SEMrush, but to each their own. Google search engine is great. Google Trends is great.
A lot of blogs now have a summary paragraph at the top of the page that repeats the content of the first paragraph. Is that a good idea?
It's okay. What it's going to do is it's going to benefit your page stay because people read those summaries before they read the blog. Um, a lot of people do it to fit in the keyword within the first 200 words, which is an SEO requirement. Um, it's definitely helpful. I'd say it's not like super important though.
Somebody said Uber search by Neil Patel.
Ubersuggest. So it's Uber suggest, all one word. If you type it in, it's neilpatel.com/Ubersuggest. He's got to
Uh,
start paying me for real. I'm sending everyone over there.
he's not gonna.
Nope.
Is Google search meaning just search on Google, or do you mean Google keyword tool that is available
No,
through Google Ads?
Google search. Google search is incredible. You type in anything, right? It's going to give you what people are asking, all the information that they're trying to gather. It's going to give you what's at the top of the search engine, right? Is it a local pack or is it site links? And it's going to give you competitors that are currently ranking for those keywords and what they've done for those keywords. You get all the information you need right there. The only thing that's missing is the amount of people that are searching for it and how hard it is to rank. And that's what you're going to need Ubersuggest or SEMrush or Moz or Ahrefs in order to really get into.
Somebody said they thought that part 2 was Friday, April 19th. I'm virtually certain that it's next Tuesday, April 16th.
I think so, yeah.
I will confirm that when in the email that I send out to everybody with the link to the recording.
Hmm.
Um, I know that a lot of people had some specific questions about their industry. Um, what I would suggest you do in that context is reach out to SCORE, your local SCORE chapter, or you can email me. I will be sending out the link so you'll have my email address, and we can set up a more specific discussion focused on you specifically and your business with Matt as a separate context. Again, I'll confirm whether next Friday or next Tuesday. I think that's really all we have time for today. So I thank everybody very much for their time and attention, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for coming out. Jim, thanks again as always, and I'll see you guys next week. Next week we're covering keyword research. Actually on the Google search engine, we're covering, I saw this question. We're covering industry outreach. We're covering some other stuff like that. So tune in. We'll get a little bit more in depth on that.
Okay, great, everybody. Thanks a bunch, and we'll talk to you next week.